So while they're getting set up for their toy review, Greg, how's it going?
It's going. Hey, that's oh, I know what that is. I think I know what that is. I had planned to. Oh, you were gonna tell me what you're drinking there.
I'm drinking the Golden Drac Ale, which I think I had 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, that I really, really loved, so I wanted to have again.
I think I had one too.
Yes, I think you had one that same night.
It was pretty tasty. All right, so new stuff that I've seen. Because I liked the series. I should say that I finished watching the series Wet Hot American Summer,
Yes.
and then I watched the movie.
So you did it in the correct order.
Yeah, it was funny, but I really, really wish I would have watched the movie first and then the series.
Right.
As it was intended, as it was more funny that way. And I only really, really appreciated the series once I watched the movie. And then what I did was I watched a documentary that they recently put out about the making of Wet Hot American Summer, the movie. And apparently it was one of the most miserable movie shoots ever because they had a 28-day shooting schedule, and 23 of those days it was nonstop rain.
Rain. I did hear about that.
And I remember watching the movie, and there were certain parts of the movie where they did a 2-shot, and the 1 shot was out the door, and you could see water dripping off of the roof. And then the other shot was bright sunlight. I'm like, that's messed up.
No CG to fix that back then. Was back in 2001?
Yes, it was, 2001.
I mean, there was CG, I imagine, but not for the budget they had. So
Well,
they were like,
no.
Screw it, it's raining.
The budget was $5 million to make that film, and
Wow.
it quite obviously went to the talent because that was a crap production. There was, it was awful, and so it must have been. You need to get.
Say that again?
That was part of the charm.
The switch. Hold on.
And say that line again?
That was part of the charm.
Oh yeah,
Yes, that's
absolutely.
true.
It was part of the charm, and one of the reasons why the cast got so looked like they were so close and did so well because they had to be. They were physically at camp, and because they were huddled because it was cold and it was wet and it was miserable, and misery breeds company. So I think that's one of the reasons why it worked so well.
I'm thinking there were at least 10 famous people in that movie.
Yeah, but most of them, that was their first film. Like
Wow. Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper's first film. He missed his graduation to go to that film.
High school? College?
College. And then there was Chris Maloney. He was the only actor who had really done anything before this film, because they were all fawning over him. And
Janine Garofalo.
yeah, but
David-
she was.
Amy Poehler?
Amy Poehler.
But what did Amy Poehler do before
Paul Rudd.
that?
Who?
What did Amy Poehler do
She
before
was right
that?
in the middle of her Saturday Night Live career.
In 2001?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And,
She was part of
What's his name from Frasier?
Yeah. David Hyde Pierce.
He was right in the middle of his Frasier career.
Who has my favorite insult in that show ever?
In Frasier?
Frasier?
No.
In Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes. In the show.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Swear on this, right?
Please, it's your podcast. Do what you want.
When he's in the office of the professor above him and he calls him a fuck dick of a shit butt.
Oh, that's right. I did completely lose my mind when that happened because
Coming out of his
Started
mouth, that's
calling people
hilarious.
that all the time.
it was really just a string of the most horrific names you could think of, but it didn't make sense because nobody swears like that.
So good. You've completed it.
Yeah.
Moved on to your next Netflix project. I am way behind the times. Just yesterday, finally saw Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Best movie of the year for me. I really missed out. It's not seeing that in the theater.
Yeah, you did.
Really, really loved it. You're like 20 minutes into it, and you're like, oh, crap, I should have seen this in the theater.
It probably does benefit.
The Sandstorm, yes.
Probably benefits from seeing it on a bigger stage.
And I haven't seen anything online about, and I'm thinking it's just an homage to the original film, how it looks like sometimes the film has been sped up just slightly, where the eye movement or the blinking is a little bit faster, or the cars or the people running are just running a little bit faster than you normally would.
You know what?
Like in the old days when they would just speed up the film.
What that might be is instead of speeding
It's
up
a style.
instead of speeding up the film, it might just be shot at a frame rate that's a lot higher than you. I said that wrong. Not frame rate. Instead of like 1/24th of a second or 1/48th of a second or even 1/96th of a second, sometimes they can go to very high speed exposures, and it gives that weird. They did it for Saving Private Ryan, in some of the scenes in Saving Private Ryan,
Right,
to
on
really
the beach.
show almost like a realism, almost like a grittier kind of. I don't know. You can just you don't see the motion blur like you normally do in
Right.
film. So that might have been what you were seeing there.
Well, I loved it, and I was so disappointed 10 minutes into it that I hadn't seen it in the theater because it was fantastic. So I rented it yesterday, and it was like a 48-hour rental, so I watched it again today. It was just so well done.
I'll probably do that with Ant-Man, and then I'll come in and go, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't watch it after all those weeks of you telling me to go watch it.
Right.
I
Well,
still have to see Ant-Man too.
I love how we sat here and talked while they set up, so that was kind of very, very cool. Now, in the past, we've been splitting these up into separate episodes. We may still do that depending on how the first toy goes, because we usually try and keep this. Okay, now, which toy for this first episode would you guys like to talk about first?
You want to do Doom since it's kind of just ready
Or
to go?
did you want to do Groot because you said it was just like a small thing you wanted to do? Yeah. You wanted to bring
wanted
Groot.
to do an addendum to the rocket ship, Rocket's Warbird.
Rocket Raccoon from DeCool, which that episode is actually up right now. You can see that on our YouTube page.
This is by the same company. We were talking about the Big Figs. This is
Step them up a little. I'm not sure where that cuts off. Good, very good. We can leave that up.
While
there.
you're
this is
talking, I'm
their
going to
Big
try
Fig
to.
of Groot. Huh?
While you're talking, I'm going to try to actually bring up a photo of Lego's official
yeah.
Groot as a juxtaposition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I prefer this one because it's just an actual Big Fig, and it's very well made. Like,
Oh, he just ripped his arm off.
yeah, I'm
said
the only
this was-
person who can rip Groot's arm off.
You said this was made by DeCool also?
This is also DeCool third party.
For context, I don't know if you could see it, but here's a photo of Legos' and it's never Lego. It's always Legos.
With an
Lego,
S.
Legos is
That's the trademark.
Legos is
It has an
the
S.
company. So it's
Interesting.
it's like Legos' official
Okay.
Groot figure
Ew.
that we were talking. Oh, yep, there you go.
Yeah, it's
that we
just,
talked about
I don't
before.
really care for it.
Yeah.
It's I see what they were kind of going for, but like they've obviously failed spectacularly.
And is that what they would call a Big Fig?
No. Big Fig is literally like a self-contained. It's like a Lego man. A Big Fig is just a larger version of the Lego man. This would actually be a build kit.
Oh, I
Yeah,
understand
you
what you're
put
saying.
him together. They have
No, when I say Big Fig, because they make minifigs, and the minifigs are all the same size.
and then
Yeah.
these are the Big Figs. That
Right.
one would be
That's a build.
kit.
Yeah.
Why'd they do that? That seems dumb.
I don't know, and the pieces are like very clearly discolored. Like his joints are gray. His fingernails are like talons for some reason. He's much too large to interact with a playset in any meaningful way. And then DeCool just took it upon themselves to make this. Well,
Well, that just tells me
Super
DeCool
streamlined.
cares more about the product, and Lego is
Not
more
so
about.
much. It's just Lego. Lego does care about their
Right.
licenses.
Are
It
they
just
more
depends on
interested
the-
in quantity than quality?
No, I think they were just trying to go for something, and it was
it didn't work
Okay.
out.
a failure. I'm not gonna hate on Lego. I love Lego.
Me
It's
too, of
just,
course.
Legos.
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 Or maybe
I
it's
love-
maybe it's a
But,
situation where
you know-
Legos could sell a Big Fig like that for $5.95, or they could sell a kit to build.
Well, he already comes in a kit.
Yeah,
he comes
he-
in a whole
yeah.
playset.
There's
so
that too.
he could have just put a Big Fig. So my thought is they were just trying to go for something else. They were trying to do something that they thought was cool, and it just didn't really work out in their favor.
My opinion is invalid. Okay.
No,
Sort
no,
of like-
we
No,
think-
no. I mean,
we-
it makes
yeah.
total sense if they include it anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they could have included something that looks like him.
We
Yeah.
think it's generally probably because the nature of the character is kind of a modular life form of some kind,
Yeah,
a
they were
transformative
trying
life
to-
form.
I can
Alright,
see the
okay.
idea they were going for. It just ended up not.
By the way,
Looking
I
that great.
can't stop looking at your shirt. It's awesome. Or
Oh,
jacket,
thank you.
whatever that is. That's badass.
It's like I'm wearing a couch.
I used to wear nice things when I was
Perhaps
pretty.
we'll start doing clothing reviews as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah actually, little Sarah wants to stop by at some point and start doing comic book reviews because she's picking up a lot of indie.
Why are you looking at
comics and
me?
stuff.
What a great idea.
That's a great idea.
We
Because
love Sarah.
That's the last. I think that's the last employee that we haven't met.
Oh yeah.
We need to have that meet your employee episode, you
Hmm.
know. And now it's time to meet Sarah.
Why is Mulder holding a gun to Scully?
He's been back talking her.
Haven't you seen their
She's been back
relationship?
talking him actually.
She
No.
just she
I
won't believe.
I was
And-
gonna- she just won't
You could
believe.
have just responded that Gillian Anderson is into that sort of thing, and I would have believed it.
Oh, well, we know Mulder is for sure,
Oh, man, I don't think he could handle her.
but that's a different episode.
No, I remember seeing her in that like skin tight latex thing.
All right, so
not part of X Files.
She is so much more attractive these days than she was during her X Files prime.
she had that frumpy time she went through on X
Well,
Files.
Yeah,
I'm not even talking
she
about
was
season
frumpy
one.
hair.
I'm not
frumpy
talking.
suits.
I'm talking about then. I'm talking about first season.
I don't think they wanted to sexualize her character.
I'm not even talking about like sexualization. It was just brutally bad.
Ugly.
I mean, David Duchovny looked like a kindergartner
Yeah.
in a private school
she
outfit.
was 26
you know?
years old during season 1.
Oh,
I mean, they're
really?
just so young.
That's young.
Some people just like age very well, and like I just think that she's like
Yeah, I
hit
agree.
like her prime. Like just seeing her in interviews and seeing how she carries herself now,
Right.
and just generally, I mean, maybe it's like, we're off to say, but she is so much more attractive.
Yeah, age is a number because she's
Yeah.
just as hot now on Hannibal than she was 15 years ago on the X Files.
certainly.
And you were saying how people age differently and stuff like that. So and to tie that back into Wet Hot American Summer, when they redid when they did the series, what is that, 15 years later?
Yeah.
Some of the people, I can't tell that they're 15 years older. They look exactly like they just
Paul Rudd looks
Yeah,
great.
Paul Rudd still looks like
Right.
that.
Paul Rudd. Yeah. And
He
then
could play Ant-Man for
have-
20 years.
Amy Poehler, who you can totally tell age.
you can tell
Yes.
age.
Well, she's had 2
And,
kids and she's gotten older. Sure.
Molly
the-
Shannon is the worst.
the pudgy guy.
That was-
Oh yeah. I don't remember his name, but yeah, he
The one who had the girlfriend
Mhm.
that just kept doing dumb stuff to him.
he definitely got old
Didn't
and
even
fat.
look like the same guy.
No, and he looked funny with that little mop top
Yeah.
on his head.
But overall, the cast did a good job of aging well.
No,
Yeah.
No?
no.
I mean, 15 years.
Well,
I don't
15
know.
years is
I think
50
a
but
lot of them aged pretty well.
when you look at two of them though, the main girl character and then Paul Rudd, I mean they literally look like they just came off the set from the movie and did the series. And also
it's-
the not Paul Maloney, but the other guy who was working with Paul Maloney in the kitchen, I can't remember his name, AJ something. He looked exactly the same too.
well, the main kitchen guy who
Maloney,
liked to have
Chris
sex
Maloney.
with the
Yeah.
fridge. He looked really old when he was in his other persona, but then when he got the beard and became the guy he was in the movie,
Yeah.
he looked the same.
Well, yeah, but he had started old though, I think. I think he started.
Yeah, he started a little older than everyone
Yeah,
else.
so the difference between 25 and 40 is, I don't think it's as big a difference as from 35 to 50. I
Yeah.
think you have more leeway there. But then again,
So
Molly
from that-
Shannon screwed that up too because she looked like she was 70.
Well, she's really 50 now or
50.
older than 50. I'm
Which,
50.
which one's Molly Shannon?
From Saturday Night Live, she used to play Mary Catherine Gallagher.
She was the one who got married and then divorced and then married
Oh,
like that same day.
is she the one that did the?
Yeah. Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Yep.
Oh, that's
nervous.
that character's name.
That's
She
that
gets
character,
nervous.
yeah.
and
I
then-
don't know much about Saturday Night Live.
Oh, God, you make me feel so old.
I don't watch TV.
Oh no, I was around for Saturday Night Live. I just never watched it.
Oh,
So, which toy have you selected to go first tonight?
You want to do you can keep working on him, and I'll bring Doom out
Yeah,
because
that's
I
fine.
don't want to keep Doom's batteries on, but he's a pain.
Yeah, I
the,
wanna-
the one thing I want to talk about is he's a pain in the ass to turn him on and off. So, all right,
All right,
where's a
bring
good spot for him?
Bring Doom on here, right in front and center of the camera here. He'll be in the shot
That
there for the
looks
whole
so
episode.
cool.
That looks fantastic.
it's almost got a Tron thing going on there
so,
with the lines.
oh yeah, full disclosure, I did a little bit of work on him.
Oh,
Visually.
he's been modified. All right.
He everybody at the shop knew when we were putting in our first orders for merch for the store, they were soliciting this figure, and I lost my mind over it, and we ended up only receiving one of them in the shop from our order, and everyone kind of pooled their money and picked him up for me for my birthday. And I
Oh,
was
that's
really
nice.
appreciative. It was
Nice.
super nice.
Very
of him.
nice.
Give us a full description of who he is and where he comes
well,
from.
this is obviously Dr. Doom.
Yes.
This figure itself is produced by 3A ThreeZero. I talked about them in the previous podcast. It was a company that started up. Most of the visual cues are taken from the comic book artist Ashley Wood, who worked on Spawn. Which Spawn storyline is it? It was the first time I saw him, he was doing the character of Raven Spawn.
Okay.
And he later went on to actually design a lot of famous Spawn toys, most famously the Interlink 6 figures, which was the first, was I think the only combining toys that McFarlane Toys ever produced. He has this very impressionistic, expressionistic style of artwork. When you look at his comic books, he did Tank Girl, he did Pop Bot, he did Robots versus Zombies, and that whole slew of things. Everything looks like He's done it with like oil paint crayons, like it's this spectacular style, and then he looks like he scribbles over the top of it, and I absolutely love it. And when 3A 3Zero started producing their toys, they started trying to match his visual aesthetic as closely as they possibly can, and I think especially with some of their robot figures, they've been incredibly successful at it. It was a toss-up between bringing him first or bringing a robot by the name of Caesar from his PopBot line first, just to get a feel for what he does.
It's probably really difficult for toy makers to bring that vision and that style of a particular artist
certainly.
into a three-dimensional toy that you can touch and play with.
You'll always hear colloquially saying that like you can tell a sculptor by how he draws, because he will draw like he's drawing a sculpture. He will draw something with an idea of what it would look like or how it would function in 3 dimensions, whereas a primarily 2D artist doesn't worry so much about that 3rd dimension and can get a lot more kinetic or innovative with stylistically, and Wood definitely doesn't care about that 3rd dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's trying to produce an interesting and kinetic graphic or a great composition. So yeah, it's always fun to see sculptors and engineers work around that and develop and bring that into the real world. Now, this is obviously, and we talked about this with the Play Arts Kai variant Boba Fett figure that I brought in. This is a liberal interpretation of the figure. The modification that I made to it is, this is technically the stealth version of Dr. Doom.
Okay.
Classic version Dr. Doom has a brighter silver paint scheme on him. However, they both have black cloaks inexplicably. Again, it's their own interpretation of Dr. Doom, but I did go in with an airbrush and put some deep green tones into the coat just for my own edification.
You want to spin it around so we can see the back of the cloak?
Yeah, you might not be able to pick it up in this lighting.
Oh, I can see it, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not on camera, but
Right.
yeah, with my own eyes I can.
There's just a little bit of tone just to make myself happy. Now, when I first saw him, I actually hadn't been in the store for a little bit, and I came in and I looked in the case with the Hot Toys by... I think Sideshow puts out the Hot Toys. No, I think Hot Toys puts out the Hot Toys, actually.
Good save.
Yeah. And he's pretty, the first thing I did was start kind of like draw comparisons between them. They are in the same price range. What you would pay for like a super high-end Hot Toy is what you're going to be paying for Dr. Doom here.
And how much would that be?
It's in the lower 200s.
And the finish on him, that came like that, yeah?
That patina is there.
That's amazing.
I was very
detail.
happy with the green cloak with the darker color of the stealth version of this toy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, there's some spectacular things about him. The sculpt, the overall style, some of the engineering choices on him are pretty terrific. Very strong ratchet joints everywhere. If you look in his armpit or more, in his on his sides of his codpiece, you can see that they've put a ruffled faux leather fabric to kind of give the impression of like an accordion mechanical section. His fingers are fully articulated. Each finger is on a ball joint, so
that's
it can
the first
spread
thing
out.
I noticed there is that every finger is posable. You can put it everywhere.
Was Boba Fett the same way with the fingers?
Not with the fingers.
think with the fingers,
they
but
opted to
everything-
do alternate hands on him
Right.
in lieu of that. There's obviously wiring in his cloak to make him spread out.
I was wondering how
yeah.
you were making that pose that way. That's really, really cool.
It all spreads out, and you can drop it down. His jaw is actually articulated, which I didn't realize at first. It took a little bit of a playing
wow.
around with him. He's got a lot of pros here. He's a lot lighter, physically lighter weight than a lot of figures. Like we have Marvel Select action figures in here that weigh like double this. When you pick him up, he feels a little bit light.
So is he hollow?
Yeah, he's hollow. I think might have a lot to do with the electronics that are in him. He's actually the second in the series too. There's Iron Man, which I think we're going to get a few of in the store. The Silver Centurion version of it, which was a little more exclusive. And then later on this year, Ultron is coming out.
Oh, wow.
And Ultron is pretty spectacular. He comes with a chrome paint job.
Do you know what he's made out of? I mean, it looks like composite plastics for the body pieces, but those joints sound like they might be metal.
I don't feel much metal in him at all. This is, I would say it was probably an ABS plastic, which is pretty sturdy. Again, pros and cons of this guy. All the electronics on him are on their own dedicated switches, meaning I don't reach behind him and flip a switch and turn him on. I have to actually turn his head on, turn his legs on, turn his back on, and both his head and his back are behind slip covers. Now, This one, it actually like slides forward and down to go in, and one of the first things that happened with him, I don't know if it was a factory defect or somebody putting him in the case, because he passed through a couple of hands before he got to me, the tab broke.
Oh.
And it was staying on in the back but not in the front, so I had to build a new tab out of some moldable epoxy and glue it in there and shape it.
Cool thing about being a builder. When one of your toys
Yeah,
breaks, you can just
You
fix
can
it yourself.
fabricate your own pieces.
And I feel for the people who can't do that because you just dropped $200 on a very exclusive figure that you probably can't get a swap out on.
That's also the cool thing about being friends with a builder.
Yeah.
Spider, I broke my toy.
Yeah, except I demolished. Mouse asked me to paint the eyes on a character recently, and I painted them like it was nothing, and then I hit it with a clear coat that completely demolished the plastic on the toy. So, another problem was the ball joint on his thumb here was frozen in place, and sometimes I've seen that happen before. What happens is when they assemble the hands on a figure like this, they put the back of the hand down, they put the ball sockets in there, and then they close the hand over that, and sometimes you will catch a socket, one of the ball joints, and that definitely happened on his thumb, and I don't know if it was somebody trying to move it or what, but then one of the joints on the thumb went, like completely, and that would have been a complete. I mean, this maybe you would like glue it down or you would ignore it. That would have it was gone, and I had to completely rebuild his thumb.
Where are these things made and assembled? Is it all overseas,
it's
Korea?
overseas, and that does create nightmare issues. A very popular toy company right now that's very successful is NACA. It's an acronym. I can't remember what National Entertainment Collectibles Association or something like that. And
sounds good.
What NACA and another company, DC Direct, which is very popular, what happens with them is they use factories that use a lot of chicanery and workarounds to cut costs. You'll get a very nice DC Direct figure in, and like you'll pull him out of the case, and he will just crumple into a million pieces. And when you look at it, the joints, any area where there is plastic that isn't going to be seen, they've used this inferior, translucent, yellow, crappy, brittle, garbage plastic because it's much cheaper, it's incredibly defective, and they're using it on the parts that are the high stress areas of the toy, so it just instantly gets destroyed. I remember famously one of the first highly articulated figures NACA put out was for God of War, and they had to issue a statement like 3 weeks after release that
Don't
basically
actually
said,
play with it?
Yeah, well, no, they're like, if you bought Kratos, call us and we'll send you another.
I was going to guess it was Kratos. Damn it.
So, I mean, like, he does have some QC issues and some slight annoyances to him.
And I'm sorry, to follow up my question of where they're made is, I guess it was my customer service. Is it possible to contact the manufacturer and say, hey, how much to buy a head plate?
If you bought this from us online, or you bought this in the store, or you bought it on a retailer like Big Bad Toy Store or Captured Prey or something like that, or Toy Wiz, you would contact them, and they, as a courtesy, it's not their responsibility, but they would, as a courtesy, reach out to the manufacturer. And you'll see a lot of times, especially with like smaller companies like third-party Transformer stuff, if they know a part is defective, if the hips are bad, they'll issue swappable parts, and Big Bad Toy Store will send you a new set of thumbs, say, or cover plate, say.
Okay.
But I don't know how it works out with ThreeZero because these are still technically art toys. This is kind of following the legacy of urban vinyl stuff and Kid Robot toys, where it's a what were you doing even removing it from the it's like
how dare you.
He's got a lot of like that Ashley Wood style to him, these huge very heavily jointed fingers, these
it looks really
duck feet.
So Mouse calls them duck feet.
You could clinch his hand into a fist
if
you wanted to.
How I
it
had
almost
it
looks medieval and clunky
which
and
is
mechanical.
which was always Dr. Doom's aesthetic. But one of my favorite details is one that's hidden 90% of the time, and that's his
butt.
spine.
Oh, whoa, look at that thing.
Wow.
On there, which is pretty spectacular.
Wow, they took the time to make that really detailed, even though there was going to be something covering it the whole time. It's fantastic.
And the plate, the battery plate, and the access point for his other light switch for his chest light piping is actually hidden inside all of this, and it's not accessible. It's not very accessible. I mean, I left it fully loose, but it's.
So you said there were separate switches to turn each light on. Are there separate batteries as well, or one battery?
Yeah, there's a full, so he's like a full pack of LR44s.
Okay, the LR44s, that's what I was wondering.
See, the switch is located right behind the back panel there, and you know what, I'm not even going to put it in because it's just going to I'm going to be battling it later. Then the other switch is behind this plate. So it's a high traffic area if you're manually, you know, if you're playing around with the toy.
Sure.
And the fact that it had a breakage point on it is very troublesome, especially considering when you look on his inner thighs where his leg light piping is, it's literally a switch.
Oh.
Like, you push the switch in and out. It's not a very convenient switch. It's very small. I gotta go get a chopstick or something to plug them in or out, you know, and I just turned it off now. There we go.
So it looks kind of suspicious you playing with the toy that way.
He's got, you know, so he's definitely got some pros and cons.
Sure.
But ultimately, you're getting something that's very well engineered when it comes to articulation. Gorgeous. I mean, you cannot.
I'm so impressed by just the finish on the paint finish on.
That's what ThreeA ThreeZero really exemplifies themselves on is and I wish you could see some of the robots that we have in the store here. The patina on them, the rust, the corrosion. Seeing, you know, they have tampograph numbering and stuff like that on them, and it's been eaten up over time, and there's weathering and debris on them. And Dr. Doom is no different. He's got this. He looks heavier than he is. He looks like he's cast out of pewter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought too.
That's almost why I asked the question, what is he made out of? Because that looks like metal.
I mean, he's absolutely terrific. Now, your mileage is going to vary because if you run into the same QC problems I did, and you're not versed in like repairing these sorts of things,
which only 2% of the world is.
Yeah, you're probably SOL. Again, we ordered two of each, classic and stealth, and we received one stealth from the distributor. So that should tell you probably the state of availability on these toys and the likelihood you're going to get a replacement.
Do you suppose that's a demand situation or
certainly.
just a supply demand? Okay.
I'd say it's a demand. Well, these are all limited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the window box for him was spectacular. It was one of those other ones that opens like an old grimoire, and it's all magnetically shut. And
when you say limited, is this a specific run that's going to happen? Are they numbered?
I don't believe that they are numbered, but I'll give you, for instance, Iron Man is gone. Like, Iron Man is long gone. Like, I believe Big Bad Toy Store still has a few of him, and we basically like lucked into a few of the Silver Centurion models. You know, and right now Ultron is being solicited, and they're doing store exclusives with him. There's the chrome version, there's a dark steel version, and then there is a white version, like all white.
Oh.
And I don't even know where he's an exclusive to somebody, but I haven't been able to find any info on whom yet. But I mean, again, it's buyer beware.
Sure.
You're not going to get. I'd be wary of their customer service. I'd be wary of this, you know. But is it worth it? Like, to me, it certainly was. It definitely is. And this is a gorgeous figure. And my only recommendation is if you start to see, you know, beware that top plate if you get him, and definitely check the hands. There's some things you can do if you have a stuck joint, a stuck ball joint. You can try warming it. I would recommend with a hair dryer because it doesn't quite get too hot too easily.
Okay.
That might soften some things up.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
You know, you might be able to break it free.
I would have put him in
there.
the microwave right away and just hope for the best.
You can draw his fingers out of the ball joints. You can pull them out. I would recommend pulling them. If you get a stuck joint, pull it out. Stick something in there that's rigid, like a eyeglass screwdriver or something, and try to break it free that way, very gently, before you try forcing that thumb. I strongly suspect that the reason the thumb joint broke was because somebody got him out of the package and just very casually attempted to move that joint. When they felt resistance, they put all the stress on a very fragile, you know, point.
That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, don't do that.
So again, remind us, how much is the price?
He's going to run in the upper 200s or not the upper 200s, the lower 200s for this fella.
Lower 200s, and if you are living in the area here, you can come down to Gods and Monsters and purchase.
Sure. We will. Well, we're still trying to figure out what happened to our allotment of the other Dooms, but in the meantime, Silver Centurion Iron Man is on the way in, and he is just as spectacular as Doom. And when we get our hands on him, I'll probably bring him on real quick just to show him off.
And we have a couple of other 3A toys.
Oh, yes,
just in the shop. We have a big from, what was the movie?
We have Ambush from, I completely forgot about that, from Real Steel.
Real Steel, and this is made from 3A 3.0?
Yeah, he's like almost 2 feet
He's
tall.
Oh, wow.
He is in scale to Doctor Doom. If Doctor Doom is a 6 foot 3 inch, 4 inch individual, Ambush is about yay big on him.
Well, I'm not familiar with Ambush, but compare him to me. Tell me what's his comparison to, like, let's say, the Hulkbuster.
Ambush actually kind of has a overall he stylistically looks like an aged boxer. He's got a kind of a snarl to his face. He's powder blue. He looks a lot like a pneumatic skeleton with an impact shell on it.
Okay.
He's got, like I said, he's got like a twisted up face. He's got boxing glove fists, but they're all pounded in. There's actually ripples on them from him pounding on other things. He's all kind of dinged and out of shape, and the interior of him is all just struts and pneumatic pistons.
And they all move. It's really cool.
His spine is actually really cool. You can see inside him, and there's a central column to him.
You can see inside him.
Yeah, I mean through all the. I mean he's just like
I'm
a
not
very
familiar.
thick
I'm not
skeleton.
familiar with the character. Is it even a human character,
No,
or
no, no,
is it a
robot.
robotic? Okay.
The premise of the movie is you are using proxies to fight, and the proxies are these giant stylized robots.
Oh, it's
and you-
Avatar, or what's the other movie?
Oh no. It's literally like Rock'em Sock'em Robots
It's
the movie.
Pacific Rim.
Pacific
it's Rock'em
Rim.
Sock'em Robots the movie.
Yeah, like
Okay.
people are sitting there. Some of them
Yeah,
are.
like
Some of the
the-
robots are voice controlled. Some of them are controlled with a joypad.
Did they recently make a movie about that where the guy made a robot? It was Wolverine.
Yeah, that's
That's
That's the
Real
that's
Steel.
the movie we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
Pacific
Well,
Rim.
there we go.
All right, so if you're interested in purchasing that item, you can come on down to Gods and Monsters.
Yes.
If they don't have it in stock here, they can certainly order it for you.
We would love to have some incentive to lean on Diamond to get the rest of our Dooms in, and you guys coming in and swearing at us about where your Doom is would probably do the trick.
And our next episode, our next toy review, what will you have for us here?
I have the 30th anniversary Voltron.
All right. That's coming up on our next episode. And then, Spider, tell us what you want to bring up on your next episode that you bring.
Well, we talk very heavily about bootleg and third-party Transformers toys, so I'll be reviewing an oddity, one that was not produced en masse or easily accessible. It is a gigantic knockoff of the Transformers Dark of the Moon Megatron figure.
Okay.
So, and it's very impressive, and it's also inadvertently hilarious.
Gigantic and hilarious and able to sit on this table, or do we need to back the camera up
He's
for
like
that?
toddler sized.
Oh,
so,
my God.
We'll see
Right.
how that works out.
I'm
All
looking
right, so
forward to
look
that.
for that in a couple of weeks. Next week, you're going to see Mouse with the display he's got set up right here. So we will see you next week on our toy review show.